Every day, potential clients are looking for someone to help them with designing the new home, office, restaurant, or hotel. But what is the reason to choose you? How are you standing out to them in the service you provide? We all know it's a challenge to stand out, initially online in the digital world, and then physically in the real world, live in person. We get a daily overload of choices in a continuously experiential-driven world. So how do we create the right conditions with our design studio for magic to happen? If you think you need to become a better designer, you are wrong. This is the Beyond Interior Design Live. We have experienced an experiential consultant, Victoria Taylor, to share her experience with us. Victoria travels the world, visiting the most beautiful destinations and consulting hospitality and travel brands on how to create extraordinary in an increasing experience-led world. She has an insatiable curiosity for the exceptional and works with her clients to deliver exceptional this time, and next time, and every time. So, is the key to success just that, creating extraordinary experiences? Discover in our next Beyond Interior Design podcast. Here she is, Victoria.
Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, welcome. Yes, I was really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
I love it. My pleasure. Well, almost Christmas. I put on my special Christmas jumper for you.
Yes,
Well,
I put on my Christmas furry sleeves.
yes, kind of fluffy. Yeah. Well, I didn't wear a onesie actually. It's not one part, so it can get worse than that. Well, yeah. Glad you're here. You know, I have hospitality experience, entertainment abroad in Holland. It was actually on halfway of my life so far. I really loved it, with connecting with all these people, giving them a good time. And well, another passion was interior design. And so in some way, I'm really connecting both worlds right now to give them an experience, because a lot of interior designers are focusing on the end result of this beautiful interior design, but well, it starts somewhere else with a client, with an idea in the head. So let's discover today. Let's can see if we can get some. You can share some secrets with us how to tap in the conversation which is going on in the mind of our prospects and clients today. But first, actually, you've worked for diverse client sets, from artisan boutique hotel businesses to high-jet net worth clients. Can you name a few?
Yeah, I've worked with brands like Aston Martin. I've worked with P&O Cruises. I've worked with Kempinski. I work with some major property developers that I'm not able to name right now. But yeah, I work with boutiques as well. I'm currently experientially directing the build of a really, really awesome hotel over in Croatia. That's very cool. I get to work on a really wide range, which is great, because when you're working with the larger corporates, it's a very different approach to when you're working with boutiques. So it's nice that there's learnings from each world that can be transferred to each world as well, because they both learn from each other. So yeah, I've worked with a really wide range. I've worked with the Jockey Club. I've done all kinds of different things. And as you said, ultra high net worth individuals on their super yachts. So it's a very varied and interesting space, and a very fun space to work in as well.
Yeah, I can imagine. You traveled all the world. So what's the most beautiful destination?
Oh my goodness.
What's your personal favorite? What do you like? Are you a big fan of luxury? Are you a big fan of
do you know what, to me it's not being so much I don't like to pinpoint it to one thing. For me, I think experience is when the right conditions come together in a melting pot of so many different things, and then it's the precise moment with the destination, with an experience that may have gone before it, and all of a sudden it's just magical. So for example, I was speaking at an event over in Macedonia about 2 months ago, and we went to this beautiful tiny little restaurant, and the chef, we walked in, there was no menu or anything, and we said to the chef, so what's on the menu? And he said, oh, I am the menu. And it was
Mhm.
just beautiful. It was really authentic. It wasn't luxury at all. It was very rustic. But we spent 5 hours in that restaurant eating all of the food that he presented to us. We danced with the staff. We looked over these beautiful views. It was one of those lifetime experiences that you just couldn't replicate anywhere else. So for me, I think it's a combination of being with the right people at the right time in the right conditions, which for me means that picking a right place, it's kind of transient and it evolves. So yeah, to answer your question, it's lots of different things for me.
Yeah. Good to, it's very clear if you explain it this way.
Yeah.
It's really, you can pick it to one location, and it's definitely nothing something you can copy paste to another destination, because there are so many things influencing the experience.
Exactly.
Well, how do you find customer experience? What is it?
Wow. I think lots of people define it really differently. So, we can talk about experience in so many different ways. Obviously, you've got, like service experience, which is that kind of, like customer services that kind of supports anything experience led. But, I think a lot of what we allude to and a lot of what we talk about is experiential. And we talk about, creating worlds where we can connect with our customers and guests on so many different levels and so many different levels of immersion as well. So for me, when I'm talking about experience, it combines great service with great design. And for me as well, it has to do something extraordinary as standard now, because I think that, we live in an experience economy. And I think whereas kind of 2-3 years ago, maybe this was more of a kind of a buzzword 2, 3, 4 years ago, even kind of grown and evolving, now we do live in an experience-led world. And I think first and foremost, as brands, we need to be stages of experience as standard, and secondary comes what we do. So for me, experience has to be at the forefront. It has to be exceptional. It has to be excelling in service design and design, and extraordinary has to be the standard, I think.
So secondly, you tell us is what you do.
Yeah.
So you can talk about all your expertise and all your things you can solve for your client, but up front, there's this experience thing.
Yeah.
We really need to take care of to be visible, actually.
Absolutely. And I think, we can imagine it and envisage it as we're all running a show. We're all creating a show for our brands, businesses, everything that we're doing. We're like showrunners, and we are running around putting on a performance. And that performance is the experience. And I think if we're good enough at that performance, and that's in everything that we do, it's not just in the service that we provide, it's in every phone call, every conversation, every comment we write on LinkedIn, every place we travel to, every handshake that we give. Experience is in every tiny interaction that's reflective of what we provide, because ultimately what we provide, that there's a much bigger extension of that. So we have to think in experience and that maximum differentiation all the time by delivering experience through everything that we do.
Yeah, because one of your quotes was "difference drives desire."
Sure, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we have to be thinking in maximum differentiation, because, we live in a world where, it's no stranger to you and I. We scroll the same LinkedIn feeds and we see some of the most amazing experiential activations, designs. I work in the hotel sector specifically more now. And, we see quite a lot of replication, because we see things that work and they work well. And then we see different iterations of that. And for me, difference really is the key. When I sit in these environments where I'm in these very high intense workshops where we bring in people and people get together from all different design disciplines, it really is about thinking differently, to make yourself stand out in a world where everyone obviously wants to be doing well in experience, but you don't do that by iterating and providing a different version of what someone else has done. You do that by putting your stake in the ground and saying, this is how we're different. And that takes a lot of work, that takes a lot of work. So yeah, for me, I mean, ultimately we see some great iterations and different versions, but for me, difference really does drive desire. And it tends to be the people that are willing to take risks, that see the results and see that footfall and multiple guests coming through, because they do provide something different to a world that's becoming more increasingly experience led, where they're overwhelmed with experiences.
Yeah. I saw an example on was a social media post who said marketing is like someone asking on a date.
Yeah,
that's marketing. Branding is the reason they say yes,
okay.
and customer experience is the reason they come back for more and stay. But
Yeah.
if I hear you talking, the customer experience is not a thing, not a third step. It's not first marketing, then branding, and then customer experience.
No, experience is everything. It's in every you and I are having a conversation here today, and I can't see everybody else who's here that have joined us today, but thank you to everyone that has joined. But we're all having an experience now together, and that experience will give people a reflection on me. It will give them an understanding of who I am and how I operate and how my brand operates. So this, for some people, will be their first touch point and experience with me, and then they might, if they like what I say, go on to have a look at something else that I do, and follow that kind of journey and path. So I think we constantly need to be thinking about every experience that somebody has with you as a brand is the last experience that they're about to have. Was it a good one? And would they want to come back for more? We have to treat everybody as though they're a last time person, because when we treat them like a last time, like this is the last interaction we'll ever have, that's how we can be sure that we give them a great experience that means that they want to come back, and so that there is a next time, not just a last time,
Yeah, great. We had for years we had a kind of challenge that when people were working with us, at the end they could tell it was a great journey, and we had a lot of depth, quite intensive, really personal journey. We took them to design their ultimate home, to live on their own terms. But then the first step, that they were looking for an interior designer, searching for an interior designer online, and then it's hard to stand out in that world, because we have so many cliches like I'm designing a home feeling, and it's going to be really personal and authentic and all these stories. So what can you give us an example of? You are a hospitality expert.
Yeah.
We had a conversation before that you were telling what you can advise an hospitality expert, because it works the same for booking a holiday or booking a restaurant. Can you sketch the scenario that people go through if they're looking for something?
Yeah, I think the best way to think about that is that everybody goes through a different scenario. Okay. And it's not just based on the journey that they're going through with your brand. It goes based on every lifetime experience that they've had before the moment that they interact with you. So everybody comes to an experience with a brand from a different starting point, whatever that starting point is. So if you imagine every brand, this is probably the best way to kind of break it down. If you can imagine every brand as a department store, okay? So you're a department store, and there are multiple doors to that department store. So they could be on level 1, level 2, the ground level. It could be through through a walkway. It could be up an escalator. It could be through doors that open. There's so many different entries into this department store. And any of those guests, customers, can walk in through any of those doors at any one point, right? They may decide to stay inside, or they may walk back out of one of those doors, and they may walk back in through another door. But when they walk out, they'll have other experiences in their life that will impact whether they'll walk in through another door, which makes it really difficult. And it makes it a challenge for us as brands to say, well, how do we keep them inside? Like, how do we make sure they walk in that they want to stay inside? And that's where we need to be thinking in moments rather than journeys. Because when we're thinking in journeys, how do they all come to us? We kind of make this assumption that they all go through the same process.
No, it's a kind of line, it's a kind of funnel that they're walking through, but they're not. No, I'm really, the room is a good, I really visualize all my clients coming into all these doors around me, and then it's like, hi you, hi John, hi Carla, and then I'm like, okay, what What do we need to do?
What
And
happens
what kind of emotion are they right now to
absolutely
step on, to connect with them?
Absolutely. And you've hit on a really key point as well, because, you know, emotion is such a big driver of decision making, and ultimately, it impacts our buying behaviors. But when you're tapping into the emotion of different guests, different customers, again, that's different. And that's also based on, yes, how they are in that particular moment. So you may get a customer that comes to you on a Monday and they've had a really bad morning. So they've gone out, they've missed their flight, or they've missed their train, or they've lost their keys to their house, and they come and they're not in a good mood. Or they come on a Tuesday and they've just had a job promotion. So there's so many variable factors that sit around that. I think as brands, we need to be way more aware of the human condition and know that actually that human condition is so variable. And all we can do is meet people where they are, rather than trying to dictate what journey they go on. You know, we're trying to dictate journeys. We're way too far ahead and in a completely different world to what's actually happening. So I think when we can stop trying to funnel people into, well, they're going to do this, then they're going to do this, then they're going to do this. That just isn't how it works. No. We need to go, right, this is a world of amazing, unique, incredible, diverse individuals. And actually, at the moment they intersect with us, what can we do in that moment to make this so magical that they want to come back? And then repeat that every time in different iterations for each different customer, in each individual scenario, because it's just not possible to determine something that creates the same outcome for everybody. So what I would say, to summarize, is to imagine that department store with those multiple doors, with this different melting pot of conditions, and make sure that each moment with each customer gives them something that they want to come back for.
Yeah, so we call this podcast design experiences, one moment at a time. And now I really get it, because I was in this kind of customer journey mode, this experience about, it's always, it's too, because you're talking about traveling and hospitality. It's like I go from A to B, and on this journey I will experience something, but nobody told me which way I need to go on that journey. And so every time when I'm going off track, I need to go to the destination. Something can happen to get me there.
Yeah, and that could be digitally or physically. You know, those moments could be when you're in a physical, say we're talking about a physical office, or a physical interior design office, or it could be a retail outlet, or it could be a hotel, or it could be on Instagram. You know, it could be on LinkedIn, it could be in a publication. So we have to remember that actually the moments that we're creating, they transcend physical space. You know, they happen both in the digital world and the physical world. So every moment that we create, we need to be reflective of our brand values, of everything that we're trying to create. You know, we need to be able to create magic on the page and magic in the scroll as much as we do in person, in real life.
It sounds really like hard work, but yeah, it is. It sounds like a lot of work, actually, a lot of work. But I think when everybody, including me, is always looking for the big bangs, for the big steps. These are the magic things, and it's the same when you talk on LinkedIn. You see this amazing post of all the stuff which is going on, with artificial intelligence and I don't know, holograms, whatever. And I'm always getting spoiled after weeks seeing all the best things going to happen in the world. I'm like, okay, where am I? I'm just a small interior designer. I don't have maybe the resources to design all that. But on the other hand, I know that what made a big difference in our own company, in our company Masters of Interior Design, was when we designed those moments, this customer experience. And that was actually really magic. We knew that, okay, people are asking for an interior designer. They saw something interesting online, because otherwise, why should they contact you? And then we were sending them a questionnaire to get to know more about them, a little bit about us. We send them a present, a magazine. So it was all these few things before we got the deal that made a huge difference in the customer experience. And last week we had a student who could join us on the Interior Design Day. We go one day, we go 3 days in a whole project at the location with the client, designing like a co-creation. Nice. And she said, how long do you know those people? I said, just one day. well, it feels like you know them forever. And that was like, okay, this has to do with all this designing all these small moments.
For sure.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as well, we very often look to the big things, and ultimately, when we're designing experiences, we have to have those big designs and those, those big ideas, these, big blue sky thinking that changes the world. But while we're blue sky thinking and we're creating these amazing big designs, and, I'm very fortunate to work on some really nice chunky, I'll say chunky projects.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, but along the way, we can't forget those small interactions, because the small interactions are just as important as the big ideas, because ultimately, without humans, experiences fail to exist. So we can have all this blue sky thinking and these big, beautiful ideas, but without the people, they might as well not exist. So it doesn't matter whether you're Disney or whether you're an interior design studio. It doesn't matter, because ultimately your guests, your customers, they need to be center of what you do. And when you put them at the center of your decision making, you can't go far wrong. Ultimately, if you're trying to emulate holographs I'm just using that for an example, holographs in an interior design studio, you kind of have to ask yourself, well, what for, and what's the purpose, and what value does it add? It's great that it's there as inspiration in the world that circles around me, but actually, what's the real relevancy of this to my customers, my guests, whatever industry you're in, what's the real relevancy of that? Or how do we design those moments or create the conditions to design those moments where magic happens with the people that are paying us money for our services, and the focus really has to be there. So, yes, it's really important to have that combination of that blue sky thinking, those really big, innovative ideas, but also a real focus on all of those, customers and those small moments that really make a difference to them.
The relevance. I really like that you say that, because some people, you can use design even as a kind of gimmick or to attract likes, or if you see a beautiful design interior, it's like, is it because of the likes, or do you want more? Do you want to start a conversation? What is the purpose of showing that? And I think it's a big misunderstanding if you see yourself nowadays in this well, for let's call it a kind of new generation stuff, to see it as two different worlds. Maybe you are Disney, if it feels authentic to you as an interior designer to talk Disney. Let's call it that. Yeah, great. Talk Disney. Yeah.
If it's relevant to you, it's relevant to, I say relevant to you, I think it's really important that we go, is it relevant to our customers?
Yes,
because very often we can say, we can go down this brand experience. You often hear that, don't you? Brand experience. But ultimately, it's their experience. Their experience is what determines what they feel about your brand. Ultimately, whatever experience they have with you becomes the meaning that they attach to you. So the meaning that I attach to your brand, for example, is built through the experience that I have with you. And so far, each interaction that I've had with you has been a great experience. So to me, the meaning that I attach to your brand is of high quality. Now, somebody else might have a bad experience with you. I'm sure they won't, but I'm just using this as an example. And then the meaning that they attach will be less than favorable. So again, I think when we think about brand experience, we make it very sort of ego driven about us, where we always need to be making it about them and what their experience is with us. And, very often when I'm working with hotels or design projects, it's like, well, how do we create this so it reflects the brand? And it's like, well, actually, what do you want people to feel? You need to make people feel something so that they then go on to do something, whether that's a purchase or whether it's they come and book a stay, or they decide to design their kitchen with you, or they recommend you to a friend. They have to feel so that they then do. And that comes from kind of suspending our own brand egos and putting their experience at the center rather than brand experience.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. So ask yourself the question, how do you want people to feel about you, about your brand, about them?
100%. It's all about how people feel. We're all emotional beings, aren't we? And you know, since the beginning of time, we've all gone through various different life scenarios. And you know, when you read a story, when you read a narrative, this is why Disney is so good at what Disney does, because it's threaded together by story. You know, it's all about story, and story evokes emotion. And you know, when we're dealing with humans, the best way to reach them is through something that we've known since the beginning of time, and that's once upon a time. We've all grown up with that since we sat on our mums and dads' knees being read bedtime stories. You know, we've all grown up with once upon a time, and
that's all. Yeah, it awakes all your imagination too. Eh?
100%.
Yeah, it's a world beyond. This is definitely the beyond world if you you are opening up with these experiences.
For
yeah,
sure.
you bring in all your own associations and meaning, actually, because it can be, you can design an experience, but you're telling me for everybody it's a different experience.
100%.
They bring their own
Meaning.
resume, meaning. Yeah,
sure. And all we can do is kind of go, well, do you know what, we're working with this world of diverse beings, and every moment that they meet with us, we want them to feel great, so that they then do something, whether that's a purchase, a new visit, an inquiry, a recommendation, whatever it is, they have to feel so that they do.
Yeah. People buy when they feel. Eh?
Of course they do. Yeah. But it's not just about the buy-in. It's like, you know, they might come this time and they might feel something so strong, but they're not quite ready to buy, or they need to go and have a, you know, you then take it back to real world. Let's take it away from this beautiful Disney world where they're in that wonderful moment, they feel something, there's fireworks, it's like they're stood at the base of the castle and they feel wonderful. They're, you know, they feel that wonderful Disney feeling, but then they go back home and the baby cries and the husband had a bad day at work, and it goes back to real world. And then all of a sudden that kind of intent decreases. And it's like, so then we need to be there when they come back again, when they might bring back their partner, to reignite that magic again. So we have to, you know, think of them coming, they're transient, they're in and out.
To relive the moment. So the first thing you're doing is grabbing your phone, going through all the pictures or the videos or like all these great memories. And then you are like, hey, how can I duplicate it again? Or when are we doing it again? Or what's the next step? Yeah.
When they come back, you have to recreate that magic. You almost have to discount the moment that's gone before it and start again, because then you're not depleting in what you're delivering. So you need to be delivering every single time, and trying to reignite that magic, because the moment they leave, so many different things happen. So when they come back again, we have to lift them back up again, right? To that amazing moment. And we do that through physical design, through emotional design. And you know, in the hotel world, that's absolutely fascinating, because, you know, we can do that through the interiors. We can do that through the different spaces, through the different activities and different things.
Food.
Yeah, absolutely. The sensory side of it, the smells, the sounds, the sights, that, you know, so many different things. But we just have to be thinking in that, you know, every new moment, treating it as a new moment. You know, they might have had 10 moments with us before, but actually it could be this moment where they decide to make a purchase. They could have come 7 times before and gone away and not done anything. But if your 7th moment is a bad moment, they're not going to buy, which means that we have to keep our levels high all the time. And that's a challenge.
Yeah, but even when they already bought and they're in the middle of a kind of trajectory, like we have a really intensive design process. It's in 4 weeks. We design the whole home. We see them maybe 4 times. And then it's such a great moment. The whole world is not turning around anymore. It's like they are all in the interior design and then designing the new lifestyle, actually, or the new firm or whatever. But then you have a long moment in between this creation part, because I don't have invented the magic wand yet to do the construction work with one magic stop. So this whole timeline in between design phase and creation, or the when it's turnkey, this is a moment. This is that's maybe the hardest time, because they have to wait. They're looking for the end results. They have some kind of energy and passion because they know what it's going to be. But how can you What do you have any idea? Just think, just pick your mind for that. How can you tap into what's going on there to keep this
Sure.
energetic adrenaline high? Yeah.
Yeah, so what you're referring to there is like the anticipatory experience. So they've gone through that moment and they've made that decision to purchase, and then they're waiting. If I think what you said rightly, so they've made the purchase and they're waiting then, right? They're waiting for the design.
Well, the design is ready, but they need to create it, and that we design in 1 month, but the creation will take maybe 9 months or.
Yeah, so it's very similar to the stage when someone books a holiday or a vacation and they've had their booking reference, and it's like that all comes through, and then there's this big period of time between that document and when they actually travel. And this period of time it's kind of a graveyard for buyer's remorse or a wonderful playground of possibility and potential. And I would say that the more that you can think about how you can keep there, you don't need to be in their face, but how you can keep there and keep dipping back in with, it could be, this is where we're at in the process right now. It could just be a really simple communication. It could be a video to show them a tiny snippet, if you're referring it to interior design, it could be, we just wanted to show you this. We can't wait to show you the completed thing. We know it's X amount of months away, but it's just dipping in with those little touch points, Could it be that they've got a birthday and you dip in with a birthday card or whatever it is, tiny touch points that keep you in their mind and help to build that anticipation for what's to come, because we can leave that time to just die, or we can use it as this kind of like, hey, here we are.
Yeah, it's like we are waiting in this box, and the clients around us we're waiting to when they're opening their doors, but they're not coming in, but because they're just waiting. So actually I want to go out of this box of our brand, our company, and it's like, hey, I open the door and I see, oh, are you there? How are you? What's going on there? That's so you need to design actually the door to reach out to them, and you need to design the door that they can reach, so they can reach out to you.
Yeah, and make it a two-way door as well, because ultimately, the more open you can be in showing them that communication is a two-way thing and that you are accessible, that's really important. We live in a busy world. Everyone has their busy lifestyles, jobs, families, friends, children, occasions, everything. And sometimes people actually don't want to bother people. So I think making people feel like they have that place where they can come back into, always imagine that department store, and you want to make sure that door is open whenever they want to walk in. They want to walk in and say hello. If they want to walk out and not, if they want to just walk in and say, I've been to the beach today, as irrelevant as that might be to your brand, this is all very basic service delivery 101. It's make people feel, because ultimately, if you want people to buy, they need to feel. If you want people to trust, they need to feel. And you need to be approachable. You need to be that, that source where they can come in when they want and where you can reach out to them. And just, very often in business, we make it very stagnated, and it's like purchase, this, paperwork, end result. And it's like, we're humans, all of us, we're all humans. It doesn't matter whether you're sat at the board of directors for Apple or whoever you are, we're all humans. We're all motivated by communication and interaction and human, how we are as humans. So make it more human. I know we're very much talking about the service side now. We're not talking about design, but service design and actual design, they go hand in hand.
Yeah, it is. First, it's great that you say that, because a lot of people might see it this way, that they said it's service, it's not design. But
it is.
when I saw the opportunity to design those moments, literally, you can design. There is graphic design involved, video editing, logo design. A gift design, PDF design, ebook design, whatever. There's a lot of design involved in this to give them those experience. We designed the whole magazine, and what you need to do for a whole magazine, it's really it's a journey.
For sure.
It's a cool journey to go on. So it's definitely designing, but it's sometimes it's tangible, sometimes it's not.
100%. You know, I think if we think of everything in life as we can design the best version of everything possible. You know, when I go to meet clients, you know, I've had clients fly in from different countries to come and meet me over here in the UK. Whenever I meet people, I will always make sure that I select somewhere that is experiential, so it sparks a conversation. And I tend to like to take clients to maybe 2 or 3 different venues in a meeting. So we might start somewhere for coffee, then go somewhere else for lunch, and then maybe somewhere else after for like a post-dinner drink or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that we can have conversations around those different environments, because, you know, ultimately when we're working in hotel design or luxury experience design, it's really important that we're not just sat in a stagnated, boring, stale office. We need to be in those environments that facilitate conversation and facilitate that blue sky thinking, creativity. So, you know, even designing, I'm very particular. You know, I will speak to my assistant and say, you know, we need to design places where we're going to create great outcomes from these meetings, you know, and these are already people who are customers. They're not people that I'm trying to get in as customers. They're people who are customers, but ultimately I need to create the environment for them to flourish. That isn't just by taking them to a coffee shop. You know, I need to take them somewhere where it's going to ignite their brains so they can say, hey, Victoria, what about this? Or, hey, Victoria, what about, and I'm going, hey, what about this? So, you know, even designing those meeting places and spaces is really, really important. If you think of the whole world as something that you can design to be better, then you're on the right track.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's we call the Institute of Interior Impact, and it's really, sometimes we forgot that it's not only about this beauty, but what's the purpose? What's the purpose of what you are designing? And if it's meant to be to have a really cool brainstorm session, then that's it, or romantic setting, or entertaining.
Really, yeah. And I think it's being again really like bespoke with that as well. And you can still do that on a mass scale as well. You know, if you're, you know, a huge organization, you can still do that, but it's having the ability and the resource to say, how can we make this person feel magic with our brand? And that doesn't matter if you're Apple or whoever you are. You know, that's taking that person and that scenario and that project and saying, right, what does the project need to flourish? How can we create the conditions for magic to happen with that person, and go out there and do it? Yeah.
Well, if you bring it to a smaller level, those small steps, because those are, again, this is what we see in the world, which is going on, and we like it, but we are those maybe single or duo designers, and we have to start somewhere. I think it has to do, if you talk about form follows meaning, in the first session, you can have the deal or not, doesn't matter. If in the first session they would like to talk about their feelings about their new lifestyle or their new company, well, for me, I like to tap on those story of those feelings. I'm not going to talk about solutions or the whole trajectory or the last design trends. So every time we have another version, I deliver another experience at the table, and I'm kind of customizing it on who's on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's so important, you know, what you said there about form follows meaning, because, you know, I think particularly after the pandemic, you know, everything feels a lot busier now, right? And, you know, the world feels a lot quicker. And I think, you know, very often as consultants, as owners of agencies, businesses, whatever that is, people are trying to get to that end goal. It's like the sale. And, you know, I lose count of the amount of times where people come to me with a solution-based offering immediately. And I'm like, ask me some questions. Like, for me, the magic lies in the questions, because that's where you uncover, where you discover, where you learn about the person. If someone wants to come to talk to you about their feelings and meaning and their life experiences, that's a really big clue. And that's a really big clue to help you to understand where you go next. You might not close that sale the first time. And actually, if you do, you've probably not done your job well enough. And you're probably leaving money on the table as well, because you haven't got to know them well enough to be able to do that at that stage. So what I would say is actually there's a lot of benefit in slowing down and really understanding people and understanding how people feel, or how those guests want to feel, or what we think they should feel, and taking some time in that discovery before we again, right, here's the solution, here's the solution, here's the solution, because the solutions come naturally from great conversations. So if people are coming to you to talk about something that doesn't revolve around the sale, then lap it up, because they're massive clues to where you're going to go.
Yeah. Sometimes you have clients in a hurry, and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, how much will it take?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay, 1 hour, 1.5 hours."
Yeah.
But they really, you can feel that they are in a hurry, and they just want to make a decision this week. They invited 3 interior designers maybe, and then it's really hard, because you want to be this solution-based designer, to give them everything you got in this speed meeting.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know, that if you want to leave a good impression, if you want to make impact, you need to slow down.
Yeah.
And the world is going fast nowadays. But we need to all to slow down, and everybody wants to slow down. Actually, that's the funny thing right now. What's going on that side? It's getting so fast, and everybody wants to slow down. But it's like we are all speeding up. We want to speed up, but we want to slow down.
The thing is, we've grown up in a time, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we're probably similar age. So we've grown up in a time when not all our lives have been completely on the internet, right? So we've known life like before social media, for example. But, if we look at Gen Z, that's all they've known. They've grown up in a very digital world where everything has been digital. That's all they've known. They've got higher expectations. Everything's on demand. And the world is getting faster and faster. Attention spans are getting shorter. And I very often say to people, if we design for Gen Z, we're actually designing high levels for the rest of the world, and I'm going to give a personal example here. Like, if I refer to my own mother, an amazing lady, but she's pushing towards 70 years old, and she's a scroller, and she's very interested in the world. She's interested in design. She's interested in popular culture. She's a real scroller. And that's something that has developed over the last few years, and particularly during the pandemic, because you have to remember as well, as a world, when we were caged in our homes, that was one of the only things that we were able to do. I know we did different things, but we've become way more succinct with the behaviors of Gen Z, because that was all we could do. So actually, we do expect everything more instantly, on demand, quicker. It's like this faster, quicker pace. We're attention poor. We want to spend our time everywhere, and we will only give our attention where it's really, really captured and kept. So I think, that is a real challenge for anybody in business. And, ultimately we do want to aim to slow people down. But ultimately, I think then it's having those conversations with people to say, if we can't spend that time, then all we can do is this. We can give you our best in X. However, if you give us a little bit more time, then we can deliver X. So it's showing that value. The difference between this and this is 2 hours or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So it's really saying, okay, I appreciate you have this. That's great. This is what we can do with that. Or invest a little bit more time, and we can give you this. Yep. And I think when you're giving people a choice, it's like talking to children, really, isn't it? You say to children, do you want this meal or this meal? And then they make a choice, rather than what would you like to eat? Because then
always the same. It's always the same.
Yeah.
They're answering always pizza or French fries or whatever, pancakes.
Exactly. So it's giving those options, and just and again, that's designing the experience as well, because you're guiding people to the outcome that you want to create. It's not manipulation when the intent when the intent is good. Yeah. And when the intent is good, it's saying, well, how do we get you from here? We know that you're time poor. We know that. Let's just assume that everybody is time poor in the world, because they are, not least Gen Z. Let's assume everybody is time poor and they can only give us an hour, for example. So let's create the solution for that hour. This is what I can give you, but I'd really love to give you more. I'd love to give you this more. What I'm going to need to do that, though, is this. So perhaps I can give you this for this. You take it away and have a think about it. And then if you'd like this, come back and let's have another coffee. And that's another touch point, that's or let's meet and have a glass of wine here. And I'd love to take you here because this environment's really interesting because of what you've said here, and make it personal. So it's always that kind of bring back ability. and designing that process to create the outcomes that we want. So yeah, assume everybody is time poor and treat everyone like Gen Z. We can't go far wrong.
No, but we saw the value. That was when you described what we did during the pandemic. We saw the value of this whole online world. You can get on demand.
For sure.
And yeah, before we were like, okay, no, it's not for us. We did it in our own daily schedules. And it was a kind of reset of all the generations already. Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
And I know there's a difference between those generations. Obviously, we've all had life experiences, but ultimately for me, it's a wonderful challenge in hospitality because, when people are saying, oh, let's build a luxury hotel. And I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work. let's just let's actually look at humans and what has evolved in human behavior, because ultimately, we can create beautiful interiors, but unless we relate that to humans and human condition and world context, if we want something to be relevant now and in 6 years' time and in 10 years' time, we have to think about the human and put them at the center.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so we need to break with the script or something, or change the perception on what's interior design is all about. What is experience design or brand design? Because that's it's getting a little bit the dirty word, brand identity or brand experience.
Yeah.
You're focusing on the wrong side of the thing.
Yeah, I think so. When we break the script with anything, what we're essentially doing there is breaking what we typically expect and delivering something different. So, you go into let's give you an example. You go into a restaurant. The typical script of going into a restaurant is that you sit down, you order some drinks, you order your dinner, your drinks come, your dinner comes, you eat your dinner, your server comes along, they bring you your check, and then you pay your bill and you go. So that's the typical dinner script.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, how can we change that dinner script? What do we do in that environment to break that? Do we allow someone to have a main course in this setting here? So they had their main course here, and then maybe they move to a different position of the restaurant, which is not what they expect, and they have their next course here. This is just off the top of my head. But maybe they move here and they have a main course overlooking a view here. And then maybe they move to this view here and they have a dessert.
Well, I'm interested. I always move tables in the restaurant if I can in the courses, or I change my seat 3 times in a restaurant if it's a beautiful one.
Exactly.
That table is free. I want to sit in that corner. Oh, can we start at the bar, please? Then I know for sure I have different perspectives on the same environment. I love that. Yeah, my wife doesn't like it. She said this, pick your table, Mark, pick your table, don't change. Are we going to stay here on this table, or are we going to change again? So who knows? Who knows? Maybe we have desserts on the other side of the restaurant. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
I like that.
Typical script and changing it. What does someone expect when they come into an interior design studio, and then how can we make it different? How can we break the script? Let's not bring them into the office. Let's go and meet them in an inspirational environment. Let us go and meet them here. Let us go and create a catalyst that introduces different conversation. What can we do to exceed their expectations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, love it, Victoria. Yeah. Great. I knew your story already, but you gave me so much more insights and food for thought. And really stepping on in those small steps in the experience you're delivering. It's the most concrete one is your last example about you go to a restaurant, you pick your table, choose your menu, get the food, the recipe, but you can change the order, you can change the
100%
dealing with it. And then, if you change the first step, if you surprise your prospects on the first step, they know, oh, who's this? I want to know more. And then you have this difference drives desire.
Absolutely. I think I can relate that probably to one of my own personal examples, not on a project, but when I've spoken on stages at events, there's times when I've delivered the keynote partly off stage. So I've delivered it by starting off stage, so they can't see me speak. So it's a blank stage because they expect a speaker to be in the middle of the stage when they start, right? So I start it off stage And then I join them on stage and they're kind of going, where's this voice coming from? Like, what, who am I listening to? And they're more engaged by breaking the typical script of what they expect from a conference speaker. So it's like, how can I do different in a world of same, you know, and then doing that every time.
You're a magician. You're an absolute expert on that one. Yeah, you saw so many examples and you had so many experience. Yeah, great. So yeah, well, as I would like to go to that. I know we could talk for more hours because I had so many on my list what I would like to ask, where we could talk about, but I know you have to go soon. So what's if you need to give us a final advice as creatives, as interior designers, how should we look at this? Well, maybe let's call it the Gen Z world. What is it that we need to do to make the future better, to make this world more beautiful and better, and to grow as humanity?
Yeah, I would say designing with a Gen Z brain in mind. And I actually don't like to talk about generational categorization, because I believe that actually we are all unique individuals, but we do have to have a look at context, and context is important. And I think if we can design with a Gen Z brain in mind, on demand, always on, digital, this very fleeting attention, if we can design with that in mind, then we design in moments and we design for magic at every part of the process, which ultimately up-levels experience for every generation that's gone before that. So I think if we can be Gen Z thinking first and design back from that, then we design for excellence.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Victoria.
You're welcome.
Yeah. For the people who are here and sign up to join us live, you have the opportunity to ask Victoria anything you want. Well, almost anything. she stay with us. And for all the other people and to you who's listening to the podcast episode, thank you very much that you are here with us. And of course, there's only a few days left, and then the year is over already. And talking about experiences, this year was a real roller coaster for us. We learned a lot about ourselves, about you, about our beautiful profession, and we still do every day. We've met the most amazing people on events, in our podcast, on LinkedIn. Our Beyond Interior Design group have reached the 170,000 members, 171 almost this week. We didn't see that one coming. And we've connected with so many creatives worldwide. And sometimes we even got the opportunity and permission to guide them, to mentor them one-on-one, and to take our fellow interior designers to the next level. So thanks a lot. We love to do that. So if you know us only from this podcast, please do know we have designed several programs and services to create a flourishing and meaningful interior design studio. Some of them are totally free, but for the people who really want to make 2023 the best year ever, you can join one of our premium trainings. So just go to interiordesignimpact.com and check it out. You might like it. Me and the rest of the team of the Institute of Interior Impact, we wish you a wonderful Christmas. Take a step back, reflect, relax, and enjoy time with your loved ones, because there's more in life than just interior design. Happy New Year.